What's up guys? I bet you didn't expect to see me back so soon. Just got to say before I start, everyone who sent me a nice message welcoming me back to YouTube, thank you, it means a lot. That video seemed to go down really well, so I'm hoping you liked the content and the length of it. I'm going to try and do more of the same. In fact, I've been editing this video today, Sunday, and it was getting to about 40 minutes long, so I've already cut it and I've got some content for next week's episode already, so that's good news. So I've tried to keep it the same, bit of a mix. I've got a combi boiler installation from this week, a few little fault finding bits, a look at my pipe benders, and I've got what I think is going to be a really popular feature that I'm going to put hopefully at the end of the episode every week going forward. Basically, I think there's a lot of pressure on apprentices these days where they don't like messing up. I mean, nobody likes to mess up and no one likes to admit when they've done something wrong, but I think there's added pressure on apprentices, and because the guys that are training them don't necessarily talk about when things have gone wrong for them, it puts a lot of pressure on guys, and they might do something wrong and try and hide it, not want to admit it. The best thing about making mistakes is that you learn from them, and we all make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. You know, you've seen me cut through a live water main. I'm happy, I'm comfortable enough to show people, because I think if we can normalise that and all admit to when we've gone wrong in the past, then it can make it a lot easier for the guys training, because you are going to make so many mistakes, guys, but the important thing is to learn from them. So the first one this week, and it's a good one, I've got basically similar to the Todd's Top Tips where Todd gave us a tip last week. I've invited members of the plumbing community to send me in their worst fuck-ups in a feature that I'm calling I Fucked Up. So I hope you like that. I hope you find it useful and hopefully funny as well. That's at the end of the video. So I'm going to shut up, let you watch it, hope you enjoy it. And as always, leave me some comments, like the video, and if you don't subscribe, if you could subscribe, because it really helps me out. So this is a call out to a boiler that's been condemned by British Gas. You can see that they've labelled it. Took the fuse out. There's the fuse there. Apparently there was a CO escape. You can see there the rubber seal that's on the top of the heat exchanger that connects to the flue. Come out, so the products have been discharging inside the boiler, and it's rotted the case at the back and at the top. So I've got a quote for a new boiler. The pipe works quite tight at the bottom though, and it's been set, if you can see the boiler's set back behind that's behind the plasterboard at the front, so it's not going to look very nice either, but I'm sure I can do something with it. Right, so I got this job. So I'm going to be replacing this boiler. Tenants kindly cleared all the crap from around the boiler for me. I've got hot and cold to that, a waste pipe internal for that, which I can probably take my condensed into, and there's a drain point on that radiator, so that's good. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this is typical in these kind of terraced houses, turn the water off. The stop tap is by the back door behind this dishwasher. So turn that off and we'll drain the hot and cold water. What I do need to do is there's a bathroom above, so I'll go and open the taps up there to release the air, and that will basically drain the hot and cold, and then the heating drain from that radiator. So I'm going to have a bit of a job tidying this pipework up, and the other thing I want to do if I can is get that electric fuse spur from underneath the boiler, because we've got a lot of water above that, so if I can move that I will. Perhaps get it on the side here, we'll see. So power off, get that flue out, boiler off, and then I'll film again. So drain down from there, the heating goes up, so that's a drop down to that rad in the corner. Now normally if you were just working on the boiler, if you were repairing it, you wouldn't drain from the PRV, but because the boiler's coming out, I'm just going to let the PRV go and put a flash on. So these PRVs, you lift up this Oh shit. Right, so that's my room stat cable. That comes from above, and I've also seen my power supply for this fuse spur comes from above, so definitely going to be able to move that, which is good news. So, like I said, we've drained from there, but because that's a drop, we've got whatever water's in this pipe down to the boiler, it's still going to be full of water. So we open the PRV. You wouldn't normally drain the boiler from the PRV, because that's not what it's for, but because this boiler's coming out, that's okay. So we've drained from the PRV, so we're probably going to just have that amount of water in, sort of from there down to there. These ones are pretty good. You've got these stop ends here and a valve, so if we open that, it's going to shoot out towards me. I'll just crack it. Oh, nothing in that. Same on the return. Just move my plumb tub over. There's no way in that one. Right, I'm just going to drain that down. Can't do it one end. So you can see now I've just got a little bit of a dribble, and that's about as much water as we've got out of it. So now we're safe to start undoing these nuts. Obviously we've got the gas, which I've isolated the gas meter. Probably won't show too much of the gas side of it, but you'll still get a good idea of the job. You can see now I've got all these unions undone. So the boiler is just going to pivot now on that top bracket. You see there's a hook there, but it'll tilt forward okay, like that. But we need to lift it up off those two hooks. There's one that side and one that side, but because they've plastered down onto the boiler, I won't be able to lift this boiler up, so I'm gonna have to smash this plaster off. Right, now we can get a good look at the job. So you can see the plaster on that top bracket. That's got to come out. Now all the wet stuff's done. Got my nice protective mat on the worktop, so I can start doing some pipe work. Just off the top of my head, what am I going to do? I'm thinking I want to put some kind of board over that, get rid of all that and do it all in front of the board. Maybe bring the board down to the tile level, because there's going to be a big hole there. We'll see. This is just outside. You see we've got the condensed pipe, which is broken anyway. That's not to current regulations. Obviously it's going to freeze, especially in weather like this. So the better thing for me to do would be to get rid of that altogether and terminate that condense inside where it connects in with the washing machine hockey stick there. Then it shouldn't freeze. Right, so I took the side of the cupboard off to make this easier. There's my ply that's gone over that horrible plasterboard, and then I've brought the two flow and returns that I'm just going to reuse down, so I just need to clip into that. So what I'm going to do now is get the boiler on the wall and the flue done, and then I can sort out the pipe work once I've got the boiler on the wall. We're fitting a Baxi 830. If you don't know about these, and this is not new, but it's a relatively new thing. Certain boilers, they come with the system filter in the box already, which is a nice touch, and they're not much more money than the Baxi 600. Especially when you counter in the fact that if you paid for that separately, it will probably make the 600 more expensive, so good deal. So let's go in on there. I'll do that and then I'll film a bit more. So if you can remember, the electrics and the feed for the room stat just came down with the pipes into the old boiler. So I'm going to fit a new fuse spur and obviously the wireless RF stat. And I was going to do it sort of just here, so bring that cable, this one, into the fuse spur. But this feeds in from the left, which means it really wants to be this side of the fuse spur so you don't see the cables. So all I've done, I made a hole there, threaded a bit of the old flex through to the other side there. So I'm just going to tape this one and drag my live neutral and earth to this side so that I can mount my back box up there, and then this one next to it nice and neat, and then we'll just run some mini trunking down through the back channel of the boiler to wire the boiler up. So I'm going to do that now. So just take that onto the end of that one. So now what I'm going to do is pull this through, just give it a bit of a helping start, and then should, if I pull this, there we go. So that's now our feed, live neutral and earth into that, make a much neater job. There we go, that's the fuse spur and the wireless RF stat, trunking down, that's all connected in the boiler, and it's tidied up that corner so I can sort those pipes out now. And then one more thing to remember, your fuse spur will come with a 13 amp fuse in it, so you just got to remember to take that out because your boiler needs to have a 3 amp fuse supply. So I'll sort that over now. So I'm currently battling with this pipework, trying to space it out as best I can. I've done the PRV, hot and cold's done, gas is on, hot and cold's live. So I'm just fiddling around with the heating. Obviously I need to get, these haven't been clipped yet, but I'll clip them and then need to get my flow returns in. What I'm probably going to do with the Magna Clean to keep it high enough is turn that, see the isolation valve, you can have it down. If I turn it that way, I'll get that pipe higher than having to come obviously down here, and we're getting towards the bottom of the cupboard level. So I'm going to do that, come across, up in front of this stuff, kick back, and then that'll be back against the wall. And then the flow can come down at the side, and probably scimitar these ones, they're the original bends, I've not touched them, I've just cut them there. Run the flow down, along, and then kick out to come in front. And that'll give me room to bring my condensed, which is there, down in between these two, along, and I'm going to go down in that void to connect on underneath in with this hockey stick. Right, this is probably the best that I'm going to be able to do with this pipe work. It's just been tricky sorting it all out in that corner, but I'm just going to show you, this is kind of a tip. So I'm fitting the Magna Clean Micro 2. Obviously we spoke about the way I was going to angle it, so I can, that's the way I've done it basically. But I just wanted to talk about jointing compound. Now I always used to use Waterhawk Blue, but in my adult life, or my sort of last few years, I've been using this Laco Slip Tight, and it's great because it comes on the end of a brush. So you just brush it on instead of using your finger, and because you're using a brush and not your finger, it stops you from being tempted to wipe it on your trouser leg. I used to have silicone paste, just fingerprints all over my trousers. I looked a right tramp. Some pet hate now, can't stand seeing it on guys, so if you are one of those people, you need to get out of that habit. That's the stuff for you. Save you a lot of going through a lot of pair of trousers and make you look a bit more professional. So right, I'm going to get that on. Oh yeah, lined up with this, and then we're going to get the Magna Cleanse on it, and I'm going to talk to you about the Magna Cleanse, why I'm doing a Magna Cleanse. Right, so that's the pipework side of things done. Got the condensed pipe in. We've got the Magna Clean on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the Magna Cleanse to kind of flush the system. Now, I'm going to do a video on the difference between, say, a Magna Cleanse, a power flush, and a thorough flush. But for now, on this job, it's a job for a landlord. The tenants haven't reported any issues with the radiators, so they weren't complaining of cold radiators or sludge in the radiators. When I drained it down, the water was nice and clear. So, in my professional opinion on this job, the system doesn't need anything more than a Magna Cleanse. And the beauty of this is I can attach this now, and while I'm commissioning the boiler, bricking up the flow outside, this can be running and doing its thing. Even taking kit to the van, this will be doing its thing. So the way it works, I'm just going to pop this off if I can. So we've got these two ends now, and I've got my AD flushing adapter, and these are just two push fit tap connectors. That pushes onto there. Do it with one hand. So that's all connected now, and then my hoses with my cam locks from a Magna Cleanse connect onto there, and then we'll connect that onto this. So that's been pretty much done. We've got the heating on, it's all working now. So like I said, did the best I could with the pipe work. Better than it was anyway. Just got the side of the cupboard to put back on, the self tappers to put in the flue. It's all commissioned, flushed. Spoke to the customer, showed her how to use it. So total this job has took me just under 2 days. That's what I allowed for it. That's what I priced for. Could have done it in a day if I'd wanted to, but it wouldn't have been as nice a job. And I can pick and choose my jobs these days, so if they wanted to go with someone who would have been cheaper, then they could have done, but luckily for me, I sold it well and they chose me. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed watching that job. Right guys, this was an interesting one for me, never seen this before. So I got called out to a leak from a Worcester Combi boiler, and when I took the cover off I found this slime. It was like wallpaper paste, gooey, slimy, coming off the top where the burner attaches to the heat exchanger. And like I said, I'd never seen it before. I did put this on my Instagram, and a lot of Worcester engineers and people who work on Worcesters came back and said that they see it quite a bit. So if you've not been to the Worcester training, or you don't work on Worcesters a lot, when you first look at these boilers, you think they're going to be a bit of a nightmare to service, to get into that heat exchanger because of the way it is at the top. But it's actually not that bad. So we've got a locking nut there that comes off. Once that's off and you've disconnected the gas, the fan housing off the top of that burner turns out. So you just have to turn it towards you, and there's 4 lugs on the top. And once they get into the right position, you see there, that's the gas part I've disconnected. Yeah, once you've twisted it and got that in the right position, the lugs line up and they'll come out of the gap. This one just got a bit stuck. But I'll turn it over now and you can see them. There's the 4 lugs. So once that's out of the way, I'm just basically stripping off the component parts. I've already disconnected the power to the fan before I took that out. And then this plate then lifts up. It pivots off the back, then you just have to pull it out. It can be a bit fiddly. That's what holds the fan down onto that gasket on top of the burner. And then we've got the gasket, which when you take that out, you'll notice that the electrodes and the sensor comes out with it. That's that. So I'm doing all this so I can identify the fault, but you would also do this if you were doing a full service on this boiler. You can see there we've got water coming through the seam. That's split, so basically that needs a new heat exchanger, which you can do as a job. But I spoke to the landlord, and the age of the boiler, he decided just to go ahead with a new boiler, so that's what I did. This job didn't actually make it onto any of my social media because I wasn't that happy with it, to be fair. Just the way the kitchen was set up and that pipe work, I didn't like it. Did my best with it, put a Baxi 600 in. Probably a bit hard on myself looking back. It's not the worst job I've ever seen, but yeah, I wasn't happy with it, so that's an exclusive for you, YouTube. So I want to talk about pipe benders with you. So if you've followed me for a while, you'll know that I've always used this set of benders. It's an old set of Hillmores that was my granddad's, and I've used them the whole time I've been in the trade, so from an apprentice right through to present day, well, till recently. Never had a problem with them, even though these don't move, the rollers don't move at all. All my bends I do on that. And then recently I got to thinking, because the reason I love using this set of benders, even though they're old and knackered, is because the fact that my granddad used to use them. So I know that there's pipes out there that were bent on this by my granddad. He used to hold the handles. Just means a lot to me. So then I was thinking, what, you know, there's a lot of van tool theft at the minute, well, for the last few years. What if someone stole these off me and I didn't have them anymore? You couldn't replace them, that they're just so valuable. So I decided last year to retire this bender. And the one I went for, the new bender, was this one, which is the Nerad Tools tube bender. And the transition between that and that, literally seamless. I stopped using that and I started using that, and I just carried on as if as if they were the same thing. They just feel, I don't know, they just feel right. Sorry, someone rang me. The guides are, let me just get my old ones. So you see on this old one, we've got Hillmore GLM22 on that. And the 15mm Hillmore, they're identical. Even down to the line on the back, the size. Obviously, the newer one's a bit better nick than my old one. I don't know why that's got a hole in it. I don't know if that's how they came, because the 50mm's not got one off. My granddad did that. The other thing I was thinking before I started doing this video, it's like Trigger's broom, innit? That might be the original bender, but you never know how many of these he lost over the years and replaced with, so they might not be the original guides that came with that bender. But yeah, same. So the info I've got on this, as far as I know, this bender is made in the same factory in Sheffield that the original Hillmores used to be made in. Now you can still get Hillmore benders nowadays, but they're Irwin Hillmore, so Irwin must have bought Hillmore out. They're not made in Sheffield in that factory anymore. I don't know where they're made, could be made anywhere. But these are made in the same factory in Sheffield, and as far as I'm concerned, they're as good quality as the pair that I've used my whole career. So if you are in the market for a new bender, I'm gonna say this is the one you want to get. Just trying to sit that so it stays right. So we've got the 90, 45, and I guess that's probably 30 degree ready marked on there, and you can see here I've been marking as I've been pulling some bends for jobs. Sorry about that, I cut off again. People keep ringing me because there's so many people with frozen condensed pipes on the boilers at the minute. Yeah, that's the underside. You can see how similar they are. Yeah, just thought, people ask me all the time what bender, and I've never been able to recommend one before because I've always used that, which is obviously my granddad's, and you can't buy one. But this is the next best thing. So if you are in the market for a bender, have a look for this one, Nerad Tools. I think Plumb Centre, my local merchants, which is a Poachins, stocks Nerad stuff and can get it in for me. I'm pretty sure Plumb Centre, which is now Wolsey, can get you these in. But yeah, you won't go far wrong if you get one of them. Hopefully that's helped a few of you out. And if you can bend a pipe instead of using a fitting, always try and do it if you can. It just makes a better job, better flow rates. And bending, I believe, is becoming a dying art. There's not that many people that will bend their pipes anymore. It's just a lot faster and easier for them to use fittings. I better show you the model number. NTTB1522. That's it. So this is the job I've been called out to while I was doing the pipe bender video. It's got a frozen condensed pipe, and then the customer's defrosted it himself, but the boiler still won't stay lit. The reason is, so this lead here plugs in on the top of the condensed trap. So when this pipe freezes outside and the boiler's still running and condensing, this trap fills up. Once it gets full, this lead becomes wet, and then that's a safety device. It tells the boiler to stop burning, because if it kept going, then the water would then get higher and higher and flood the boiler. So we've defrosted the pipe outside. The trap's now empty. I don't know if you can see that. See a bit of moisture on the end of there, and that's wet. And that's the reason why the boiler won't stay lit. So I'm just going to dry that out, and then we should be good to go. So I'm just going to prove this to you. So with that still wet and connected, put demand on. Just have to wait a second, divert valve to move over. So you can see how that's continually sparking. It's gone to hold. So do it again, this time with this disconnected. So it stopped sparking now, and that stayed lit. We'll dry this out. Can't leave that off. So we left that off and it blocked again. Then we flood the boiler. The water would just fill this up and then carry on up that hose. So whatever you do not leave that off.
Hi guys, it's Chirag from CP Utility Solutions, and my top tip for today is how to get rid of stubborn airlocks. Now this will work mainly if you've got heat only system or if you've got an external pump on the system, one that hasn't got a bleed screw on it. What I've done is I've taken an old UPS 2 pump off, put a fly lead on it, and what I tend to do is if I've got a situation where I've got an airlock, I'll take the old pump head off the system, put this on, plug this in, and just let it run with the system off. So that way what will happen is that the pump will basically keep moving all the air around the system with the bleed screw open. You leave a little bucket or container or rubber bag underneath it and you'll see loads of air bubbles coming out until you get a steady stream of water coming out of it. Then you can swap the heads back over, fire up the system, and that should have got rid of your airlocks. Hopefully that helps.
I like my tea Yorkshire, strong but with plenty of milk, tea bag left in. Possibly going to be a new feature to do with the paperwork side of the job, the admin, booking jobs in, what app I use for doing my gas certificates, maybe even as far as we'll do a quote together. But I wanted to start off by showing you this website from PHC Parts. Now PHC is a very small, I'll say very small, a small independent merchant compared to the big boys. But they are the nicest guys. Ollie I deal with, top bloke. If you're a customer at PHC, you'll know what I'm talking about. They're just great. But they've got a website and I can buy boiler spares. Well, you can buy anything off here, but I stock up my van with boiler spares off here. But what I wanted to show you was this. They've got this parts atlas. Now you're probably familiar with Parts Arena, but this is great. So if I go on here, let's just look at a Baxi. We'll go for one we all know, a Duotech. Let's find it on here. Duotech 33HE and search that. And that is going to give us now exploded parts views of this boiler. Combustion box, controls, heat exchanger, hydraulics, short parts list. So this can help you when you're fault finding. It can be a massive help to have a diagram. So we get an exploded view there of all the different parts on the hydraulics section of this boiler. So you've got the plate there, the pump, gas valve, diverter valve motor. What else we got? PRV, and then what I'm going to look for, let's just choose a part, auto air bottle. So 413, that's our auto air bottle on top of the pump. So then we'll just go down the list. I'm looking for 413. There it is, air vent automatic. And then I can just add that to my basket. So now that should be there, that's in my basket. I've got some thermistors, water pressure switches, heatsink compound, if you know, you know. I just think it's great. And then one more thing I've got to show you. I don't know if you know this, but I've got my own range of kit bags that I designed with Velocity Pro Gear. And I was speaking to Ollie and he agreed to sell them. So he has these in stock at his merchants, but you can also buy them online from him. So you can see here, this is the 7.0, the first bag I designed, available to buy. Shameless plug there. And then once you're done, you can choose to collect it from a branch collection point or get next day delivery. And you can set up an account with them like you would at any merchants and set your terms with them. Definitely worth checking out, PHC Parts. They're also on Instagram and Twitter if you want to find them on there.
Oh yeah, I can't believe Pete's got me doing this story for him, but here goes. My name's Gareth and I fucked up. Probably about 14 years ago, I was a qualified engineer fitting heating systems for a housing association and I connected the gas up to a ton on a Combi. It was my fault not labelling pipes properly. So filling the system for ages, couldn't figure out where all the water was going. And then reality hits when it starts coming out of the customer's brand new cooker. Turned everything off, took the gas meter out, gas meter's full of water. opened up the ECV, there's no gas coming out, gas main's full, ring Transco, get them out. It's a massively embarrassing moment. The guy from Transco said he's seen it loads. Believe it or not, we used a hoover with Transco to hoover a lot of the water out of the main. I asked him if he was worried about how much water had gone in there. He said not at all. You'd be surprised how much water there is actually in gas mains in the road. But we got it all cleared out, sorted the cooker out, hadn't gone as far as the boiler. We got it all fired up. It just shows we all do make mistakes. Cheers.
I think we need to applaud Gav for sharing that, because a lot of guys would not want people to know about that. And obviously he's learnt from it, because if you check out his page on Instagram, at Hoskins_heating, he does some really good work. I really hope you enjoyed that. And as I said, going forward, we're going to have one every week. If you've got a really funny fuck up or an embarrassing fail and you want to contribute, just send me a message on Instagram and we'll try and get you featured.